time for part 9 of my favorite games from Next Fest of February 2025. We're finally starting to get close to the end. Here's another collection of some fantastic demos you should check out. We are starting things off with Void War, and this is essentially Warhammer 40k meets FTL, as your ship must flee after the Emperor has fallen, and you're going to have to fight a lot of enemies standing in your way. The basics of FTL's design are here. You'll manage power systems, equip crew to specific stations, find new weapons, and kind of room types to fit into your battleship. Where the game differs is that there's a greater emphasis on melee combat and your individual units. You can equip different weapons and consumables to each one of your characters, and your ship by default can invade the enemy's ship using kind of like a drill missile. And you can have your crew attack the enemy, destroy essential systems, damage things, and hopefully don't leave them on board when the ship explodes. Now, it's still a little bit tricky in terms of understanding what the weapons and various items do, but this one looks like a very solid take on FTL's design. We haven't seen a game try and mirror that in some time. So, if you are for the Emperor and want to do some ship versus ship combat, then give this one a try. We now go to A Kingdom of Cards. This is a kind of roguelike meets the cards represent everything of Cultist Simulator. You are trying to build a kingdom and you must use all the cards available to you to acquire new villagers, give them new professions, find new areas to conquer, get more resources, and grow ever larger. Now, one thing that separates this game from some of the other ones we play is that there is combat, where you'll assign characters into groups to fight off against enemies. So it does pay to have different gear and different classes available. You'll need to combine items in order to craft new equipment into your villagers to upgrade them into different professions, and the game is just about kind of growing ever larger and larger. I like the concept of this one, but one thing that does hurt it is the sheer number of cards that are just like laid scattered around. While some sections do kind of store cards, such as the things you can sell from each kind of like worker site, there's just so many cards on the field, it's so easy to lose track of things. And I would have loved maybe some kind of like easy storage, or something similar to like a grouping system where I can just set up all my, profession cards show up here, all my equipment cards can be placed here, and so on and so forth. There are meta progression upgrades allowing you to unlock additional kind of exploration, buildings that you can construct, additional enemies that can show up, etc, etc. So it's a really great idea, and if you don't mind a bit of clutter, at least for right now, this could be another solid entry in this kind of like, again, like cards, but not really a card game style game. And now we go to the Swordfish. This is a Metroidvania where you play a fish that one day acquires a sword and, well, decides to start hacking and slashing its way through evil. You will explore the sea as well as flap around on the ground at times in order to fight your way through enemies, find upgrades, and of course grow in power. Now, with this being a swimming-based Metroidvania, you're not going to be getting double jump, unless they're going to add some kind of special power at some point. But this is focused on dodging and kind of swimming to avoid enemy attacks. There's a heavy emphasis on multiple bosses with their own different phases and challenges for you to deal with. There's upgrades, there's items to acquire, you can get an Estus that is powered by the blood of your fishy foes. And I enjoyed this one. I don't quite know how far the Metroidvania design is going to get in the main game. The only real issues I had, your sword's hitbox is very small, and it's so easy to run into enemies, especially the larger ones when you're trying to swat them down. And it can get a little bit monotonous with the map design. Again, since you're not jumping, all the level design is just about swimming from point A to point B. And while the dashing does break things up a little bit, it can be a little too peaceful under the sea. So if you're a fan of Metroidvanias and looking for one that's going to be more about swim tech rather than jump tech, then give this one a try. We now go to Radiolight. This is a horror mystery game. You play a police officer who has arrived at a park to find a missing child and ranger. And when they arrive, something is going on. There are mysterious radio signals that are being picked up, and something is not quite right about the environment, with spooky rituals and things appearing and disappearing. So the game itself is focused more on kind of puzzle and exploration. It's kind of hard to tell from the demo how over the top horror the game is going to get. There are going to be jump scares, but it's still kept relatively, I would say, safe compared to some of the other horror games that we've seen. Most of the puzzle will involve you trying to find important items in the environment, or figuring out which radio frequency you need to turn to in order to move the plot along. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of multiple endings or things like that, but the mystery angle is really nice, and this one looks like it's going to be a really great kind of story-driven horror game if you're in the mood for a little spookiness in the woods. And now we go to Rogue Loops. This is an action roguelite, where you play a family who's trying to escape from a mysterious cycle. So this game plays very similar to that of Hades, as you'll run, dash, and attack your way around enemies. The unique element here is that instead of featuring multiple dungeons and routes to go to, you are looping between the same two rooms. But you see, the twist is that whenever you enter a different room, you have to decide which kind of benefit and curse you want to apply to that room for the remainder of the run. So you can get simple ones like enemies are a little bit stronger. You can get nasty ones like there's now a rotating chain of skulls that can do damage and you'll need to dodge every few seconds. Of course, the stronger the curse, the better the reward you get. And once again, it turns to that case of how much rope do you want to use to hang yourself with, or are you good enough to avoid it all? Meta progression includes unlocking additional characters, permanent upgrades. Each character can choose from kind of different tracks of upgrades and 2 kind of special weapons or special abilities. Once you get into this one, I think this is a very solid take on the action roguelite formula. Now, I am curious to see if kind of limited rooms will be enough to kind of keep someone engaged, as it's all about which curses / modifiers you take. But if you are looking for another action roguelite, I would at least give this one a try and see if it works for you. And now we go to Duchy. This is a Tetris city building roguelike. And that is something a very interesting mouthful. How this one works is that each kind of round or match, you'll place down different Tetris pieces. Each piece can either be like a resource or a field, or a building that will proc certain effects based on specific resources or field types that are next to it. So if you want lumber, you need to put a woodcutter or wood clearer tent next to a forest. Now if you get a line, it will also kind of activate all the blocks in that row. And of course, the more you get in a single time, the more resources you unlock. Winning an area will also let you pick from additional buildings or tiles that can show up on future plays or future runs. And there's also combat, with how different military buildings can basically proc their troops based on the resources that are around them. At the end of the day, this is all about being good at Tetris. And as those of you who are longtime fans know, I am terrible at Tetris. So this one can be a little bit on the harder side to learn, as you're kind of having to think 3 to 4 steps ahead in terms of when to place down resource buildings, when to place additional fields, and also preparing for any enemy attacks and waves. It's a very ingenious and creative game, but if the thought of Tetris doesn't excite you, then this game is probably not going to be it. But if you're a fan of Tetris and looking for a very original take on it, then definitely give this one a try. And now we go to something a little bit more peaceful with Kabuto Park. This is an RPG/bug collector. It is the summertime, and you are hanging out, collecting bugs, and then using them to battle other kids in sumo wrestling matches. As the general loop of this one is that you'll go into the fields to collect bugs. Any bugs that you want to keep, you'll be able to add to your team. Each bug type is fixed in terms of what skills it has access to, but the stats are kind of randomly chosen within a scale. You'll build a party of 3 that you can then take into the sumo battle, where the objective is to push the enemy's team out of the ring before they do it to you. Each area has different varieties and kind of rarities of bugs, with of course the highest rarity having some really fancy bells and whistles or bug appendages that you can use for battling. And the general loop here is just going to be do the battles to get gold, use that money in order to purchase new upgrades, go into new areas, collect more bugs, use better bugs to get into more combat, and rinse and repeat. It's a very simple game, but still very enjoyable, and definitely a recommendation if you're looking for a more cozy, kind of summertime RPG. And also, if you're not afraid of bugs, would also help. We now turn to Wildkeeper's Rising. This is a bullet heaven. When evil has invaded the land, it's up to you to try and save the day. But the kind of unique factor here is that you're not going alone. You'll be able to acquire and get help from guardian spirits. Each spirit has its own kind of upgrade path, way of attacking, and special move to aid you. So it turns to kind of a group-based bullet heaven. There's of course persistent upgrades, the ability to acquire more spirits, more passives and active abilities that can show up, and you can also equip your characters with different kind of special modifiers as well. Now, like with the other bullet heavens, it can be slow goings when you first start, especially in terms of how quickly the enemies just shrug off your normal attacks. But I like this change up of the formula with the different creatures providing backup for you. So if you are a bullet heaven fan and you're looking for one where it's more about the power of the group, then definitely give this one a try. And for the last game of today's video, this is Dead Pixels 2. The sequel to the original about running from left to right killing the undead. Well, in this one you're going to be running from left to right killing the undead, but with some 80s and early 90s synth and style to go with it. Like the first game, the kind of appearance or the general layout of the city is going to be randomly generated on each run, and you're going to have to scavenge for resources, upgrade your character, and fight against waves and waves of the undead. I like the aesthetics of this one, but it does feel a bit repetitive playing it single player. Once you get a really good melee weapon, it's just a matter of smack, walk back, and the enemies can't really do much to get you. Now we did play this on normal difficulty, and I'm sure things will get harder on the higher ones. The best, I think, way of playing this one is definitely going to be multiplayer with co-op. So if you have a few friends and you're looking to try and survive the late 80s, early 90s zombie apocalypse, then give this one a try. And with that, another showcase comes to an end. We are slowly getting to the very end. I think there's only one, maybe two more parts left, and then we are done with Next Fest, at least for a few short weeks. Let me know what you think about these games down below, and I will see everyone for our next showcase. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and if you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.